Greetings everybody, this is going to be another experience video. This is going to be about how I met a reptilian being in human form. So, I used to live in San Francisco, California, Northern California, and I used to do music. And I used to be a music artist and, be very, very into it. All day I'd be going to the studios and trying to record music and trying to make something of myself in the music industry. So I flew out from Northern California to Southern California, Los Angeles, and I flew out there for about a week. And I met one of my buddies down there and did a bunch of stuff, recorded music, made a bunch of contacts. Anyway, so on my flight back, I go check in my luggage. I checked in my luggage, and I thought, from all the progress I did and all the good stuff I accomplished throughout my trip, I thought, why don't I treat myself to something nice? First class. How much is, I asked how much is upgrade for first class. The lady says the upgrade for first class is, like $50 or $100, max. And I thought that's worth it. Usually it's upwards towards, $700 or $1,000 that, something crazy. So short flight, $100, first class, boom. I get on the plane, right? When I get on the plane, I'm like the first seat, like I got the window, first seat, right as you enter the plane. And I was sitting next to this guy, and right off the bat, he just kind of had this weird vibe to him. And he kind of looked at me, and he kind of first he said, "I asked the lady to give me a nice, pretty young girl, and they bring me you." I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of weird." So, we make small talk. Basically, well, he's basically hitting on or just talking to the stewardess, and asked me if I would like to have a drink. I agreed. Why not? So we're having a drink, and he says, "Do you want to see a picture of me when I was young?" I go, "That's strange. Sure, why not?" He takes out this picture, and this picture looks like it's from the '60s, basically, and it's so blurry you can't see the face, you can't see who it is. It's like a little kid with long hair and like a jersey, and I asked him, I was like, "All right, cool. Do you have another picture?" He goes, "No, this is the only picture I have of myself when I was younger." The vibe I got, I asked, like I asked him. I said, "You mean the only picture with you right now, or is this the only picture you have of yourself? Period. Like, even though you don't have any more pictures of you at the house when you were younger?" And he repeated himself, "No, this is the only picture I have when I was younger." I thought that was kind of strange. So we're sitting there, and he asked me why I was in Los Angeles, why I was in Los Angeles, or why I'm going to San Francisco. And I told him I live in San Francisco, but I went down to LA to pursue my music career, to do a couple things down there. And he goes, "Oh, music? Oh, well, I was just right before I got on this plane. I was actually playing tennis with Mariah Carey's manager." And in my head, bing, 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 music contact, Mariah Carey, big music artist. So I started asking him, can I get your number? Can I call you sometime? Maybe you could help me out with the music industry, something like that. And he goes, "No, I can't. My line of work will not allow me to." I go, "Line of work?" And I go, "What do you mean? Can I at least have your email?" And he goes, "Yeah. Take down my email." And I don't want to say his name on camera, but basically, I asked him, I was like, what do you do for work? And he goes, "I am the head of the West Coast Division of Homeland Security." That kind of blew me back right there. I didn't know how to respond to that one. And he said that there's only two. There's the East Coast head, and then like the head of the whole Homeland Security for the East Coast, and one for the West Coast. And he's the West Coast one. And tripped me out a little bit, but I understand why I can't have his number now, right? It made sense. So he said that to me, and the flight was only like an hour long, and we're landing, and right as we land, and I'm cutting out all the small talk of things. I don't even remember what we talked about. I only remember these main things that got stored in my head. And he said, right as we landed, he said, if you ever want to get a hold of me, you can find me in the Viper Room. And the Viper Room is a bar in Los Angeles. It's like a bar slash club. And basically, I got off the plane, and I'm not a person to be lost for words. Like, if I'm talking to somebody, I don't stutter. I'm not like somebody that's gonna, I don't have something to talk about. If somebody's telling me a story, I'll ask them questions about it. I just know what type of person I am, and I'm not gonna hold back my questions if I'm interested in something. And the things he was talking about, I remember, I know what interests me. And when I got off the plane, about 10 minutes after I got off the plane, I felt like I got, boom, back into reality. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, he was talking about this and this and this. Why didn't I ask this? And why didn't I ask that? I mean, yes, I have had situations where, after a conversation, an hour later, I'm sitting there thinking, man, I should have had this remark, or I should have asked this question. But one question. No, 10 minutes after I talked to this person, I had 50 questions which I wanted answered, which I would have asked this guy, but I didn't. I just completely was under a trance. Later learned that many reptilian beings have, they're very good with just enchantments and hypnotizing people, you could say. And so I thought about it, and I thought about what he looked like, and he had this, like somebody told me the other day, just this dry look in his eye. It was dry, and it had like no sparkle. It was just dry, and his skin was it was like slimy. It was kind of wet, and it had all these like sunspots on it. It was kind of weird. And then after I started doing my research and learned how there's different types of reptilian beings, and some are able to shapeshift, and then it all made sense to me. And then on top of it, I could find him in the Viper Room. That really just sealed the deal for me. So 4 years later, I go to the Viper Room because it was in my head. It didn't leave my head. I always thought, just go to the Viper Room. Why not? And I've been to Los Angeles many times after that. Never went to the Viper Room. Decided to go to the Viper Room. Completely not what I expected. Walk in there. As I walk in there, first thing I see is a guy getting a blowy through in this room with the big glass window. Don't know how I feel about that. Looked around, a bunch of weird people. It was weird and gross, and I thought, well, I have to ask. I have to walk up to somebody. And my buddy was with me, and we walked in, and I walk up to the bartender. I asked the bartender, both of them. Then I asked security, and then and nothing. Nobody knew this guy's name, which I'm not gonna say on camera, and nobody knew of him. And so I just decided to leave. And when we left, my buddy was like, "Yo, let's hop in the car and just get the heck out of here as fast as we can, because you just walked in asking about some big shot in Homeland Security, which is a reptilian being. We better get the heck out of here." But anyway, that was a funny part of that story. Anyway, so that was that. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you have any questions, please ask. And wholeness.